Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you haven't already done so, please take this opportunity to like and subscribe, and if you feel like it, drop a comment in the comment section. But for now, welcome to the Motorcycle Rescuer channel. Let's look at the part we were just looking at. This is the head of the engine, okay? It's a 157 FMI head, pretty similar to a 156 FMI head. So if you're ever looking at these Chinese engines and you're thinking, what engine is it? It will say somewhere on there, it will say, whatever it is, FM, here you go. There you go, right. 157 FMI, very similar to the 156. So when you're buying a big bore kit, that's what you need to consider. Although you also do have to look at the innings just to be sure. Now I've mentioned to you guys a couple of times that I think the oil valve seals may have gone. Now inside here is a seal that stops the oil. The oil pulls up in here. It pulls up and it goes down there, but it should sit there. It shouldn't let any of it through. If them little seals have gone bad, then it will let the oil through, and I think that's what the actual head is doing. And then on this head we know that one of the valves has cracked through. What I'd like to do today is try and build one of these heads. I've got brand new valve stem seals, I've got a spring compressor. I'd like to take this apart, check the seals on that one, and actually put the new seals on and put it back together. What I am considering though is if this head is better than the other one. You can see through that valve. See the air, look, see, I don't know if you can see. I can see it there, but you might not. So I am going to show you how to use the spring compressor. Nowadays guys, these things, they're pennies, they're pounds, I think they're 20 quid. If you buy it and use it once, you've still saved. I think a mechanic would charge 250 quid to do this by the time they've broken down the engine and stripped the fuel tank off and everything. So 20 quid, I'll show you how easy it is. I'm going to show you on this piece here, which is the piece we're not using, exactly how to use it. So let me set that up, get this set up, and I'll show you what that looks like. Hopefully you can see it. So we're set up. We just want to take some compression out, not much. Once we catch our metal plugs, then we know we've done enough. You can try tipping it as well and seeing if they fall out. If not, do it a little bit more. You do kind of want minimal, because I don't want to have to wind it out too far afterwards. There you go. So they just fell out. So they're there. They just hold it in. They fell out. And then be careful at this part. Don't put your face in it like I am. And then of course we just wind it out. Nice and slowly. Because now the spring is coming at us, you see. Right, there you go. So lovely. Now keep it in its kind of setup. So we've got the top, middle spring, and it sits like that. Center spring as well. So I'll put that in there. And then what have I just lost? That's the handle. The rest of this can slide out. And we now have access to our valve here. We can actually pop the valve out now. Hopefully you're in frame. This is the cracked valve, and that's your oil seal right there. This one's very stiff actually, it's got no play in it. But remember, this one was technically working. Technically, this one was working. Now, one of the things I'm considering is taking the valve out from that one and putting it in here. So just swapping the broken valve and putting the new seals on as well, the brand new seals that I've got. And then, if that was the problem, we're sorted. The rest of it kind of looks okay. Sometimes there's obvious signs of it being broken, sometimes there's not. Right, basically, you have just seen what I am setting up today. That's what I'm going to be doing over there. So, we're going to take the oil seal off here. So, we're where we should be. We're back to here. I didn't tell you earlier, but I've actually ordered a new piston, rings and gasket set just in case for this bike. But at this point, this is a great point to set your top dead center now, because you can see it clearly. So at this stage, I'd be turning this around, finding top dead center. But I'm going to do the work on the head now, and we'll then look at what's next. It ultimately will be swapping the exhaust over, swapping all of that over to the other one, potentially. I'm going to look in there. If it looks all good, part of me wants to use this for ease. The other part of me thinks, because of this little void here, that little scratch, I'm not sure if the gasket is kind of managing that. So I don't know. Either way, I'm going to build one head out of the two, and they're both going to have new valve stem oil seals. And then we'll chuck it all back together and fire it up and see if it's any better at all. So look, while we're here, the valve stem oil seal, the old one, is this one. This is the actual old one. And it did seem a little bit loose, as in the actual fit did seem a little bit loose. It actually feels more rubbery than the other one, but the other one, right, where am I? One was good, but I've got two brand new ones in this pack here, and I'm going to swap them over and put the good valve in the old head. So I'm not going to use the new head. I'm going to switch everything to the old head, because it just, again, it doesn't have that slight nip on the bottom here. Where is it? Somewhere. So I am kind of carrying on. I've got music in the background, so I can't film too much, and I'll kind of do what I do, and I'll show you that I've done it, and then we'll fire up and we'll see how we're looking. All we can do is keep testing these little bits, but it's fun. Don't watch this at any point and think, how stupid is Charlie? He's doing these things over again, it's unnecessary. It's really fun. You're breaking down an engine, you're learning how to do it, you're learning the ins and outs thoroughly. It's not something that's winding me up, that's annoying me. I am enjoying this. If you look at the original seal, it's just using its rubber and its shape to scrape the oil, stop the oil. The actual new seal has a compression spring at the top. It's definitely an upgrade. That's brilliant. So I'm going to pop this back together, and I'm going to do the back one for peace of mind, because I've got a spare here anyway, and they appear to be upgrades. And then that should be done. Remember, this engine's done 24,000 or something. It'd be really great to be able to add another 20,000 to it, wouldn't it? So let's do some of the work that needs doing. Right, again, music's on in the background. I'm getting on with it. Okay, so I'm doing that thing again where I just knuckle down and get on with things and think, I've not picked up the camera for ages. Engine's buckled up and back in and tightened. Swing arms back on and tightened. Technically, it's timed. We're still at top dead center, so I will do the valves now. I'm going to check them, because this could be the last time I don't know, actually I kind of can't be asked. I may just fire it up and see if the smoke's gone first. Carb needs to go on. Battery should have some juice from last week. End pipe only, I'll leave sorry, down pipe only, I'll leave the end pipe off. And we're back to where we were. If oil was going down through the oil seals, the valve oil seals, the stems, which are these, then this problem should be resolved. If they're coming up the piston, then only the piston rebuild kit, which is on its way, would resolve it. On top of that, it could be that the bore itself is really scored to the point where it was coming up anyway, but it didn't look it. In some of your answers to your questions, some of you questioned that if I swap this engine over, the insurance company may know about it. Yes, they may. There is always that risk. In my experience, they don't bother. They turn up, they dump it in the back of a fan, and they disappear. They might check the VIN number. They normally just check the plate and take the logbook. But in my, again, in my experience, when it's been a long-winded case like this, 2 years, they just tell you in the end, keep the bike. They just say, keep the bike. It's a category, whatever. Do what you want with it. Sometimes they don't even charge you. Sometimes they say, give us 100 quid for it or 200 quid. If they ask him to buy it, I'd say no, take it. But yeah, I'd be willing to swap the engine and see if they notice or not. If they notice, they notice. What's the end of the world? The biggest problem with his claim is that, well, it's not really a problem, but it's a personal injury claim. So what they normally do is they normally forget the whole bike stuff to an extent. The bike's only valued at what, £1,800, his bike at the time, if that. It's the personal injury claim that keeps them busy. You see, they make thousands of pounds off your claim. So even though you might make some money for your... I know Gary had some physiotherapy and stuff. I can't remember if it was his wrist or his ankle, if I'm being honest. Or his back, maybe. I know he did have issues and still does. So I know he has got some issues from this crash. But it's a big old personal injury claim. So they tend to focus on that and forget the bike, which is what's happened here. The driver in this case, if you remember rightly, Gary was coming up to a red light in his left lane, which could be straight or left. The driver was a second car behind in the right lane at the light already. That driver thought, oh, I want to be at the front of the lights, swung left to get into the left lane so he could shoot off at the lights, but actually Gary was coming along and Gary hit his back. The guy did pull over, but gave Gary all false details, fake numbers, and drove off. So Gary had to go through the police and insurance with the number plates to get it all sorted. So that's why it's really long-winded. Let me bolt on the exhaust and the carb, and then technically... Oh no, I'll need to run some fuel, and then technically it will be ready for a start-up. Someone told me I say technically a lot, but I think they're technically not true. Okay, so we're ready for a fire up, I think. We've got fuel, we've got a carburetor, we've got spark and ignition, should have some battery. Let me check the battery's connected. Now last time it took a good 3 or 4 minutes before it started smoking, so to the point where we even test rode it. You saw that on the road, so it might take a few minutes. That's why we alluded to it being the oil seals, because by the time the oil's gone up and into the cylinder and seeped down, that's when the smoke started coming out. If it was the piston rings, it would smoke a lot quicker. But saying that, we can still find that this is a smoky engine. I am going to literally fire it up, get it idling, and go and sit down for a couple of minutes, and we'll see. Let me set you up on the exhaust side, that would make more sense. Forget the end can, I'll pull that off. We're looking at the pipe. No pulling off end can jokes. Some choke. first puff you saw would be where I oiled the valves and everything. I oiled the new seals, so the first puff you saw would have been that. So we'll let it idle a few minutes and we'll see what we're looking at. Right, I'm glad it started. I just want to quickly check all the bolts and stuff now. Check all the torques, make sure everything's in, and then we're back.